Welcome to Equal Entertainment. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist. The Rock says he's not ruling out a run for president in his future. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson says he's been approached to run for office. He told Today that running for office is a possibility. In 2021, a Pipsley survey found 46% of its respondents would support him as a presidential candidate. He calls the data humbling and says it would be an honor to serve the people. If you're a Squid Games fan, listen up. Netflix is opening new permanent immersive experiences for fans. The Netflix houses will have rotating installations. Fans will be able to shop for show-themed products and food. The company is aiming to launch the first 2 locations in the U.S. in 2025 before expanding globally. The exact locations have yet to be announced. Lil Nas X is calling out Christian artists who criticized his plans to release Christian music. The queer Old Town Road singer recently announced on X that he's entering his Christian music era. In response, a Christian rapper named Bryson Gray wrote a diss track targeting Nas X and rapper Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi responded with a famous 50 Cent meme and the caption, "Catching strays, God ain't have nothing to do with this." Lil Nas responded saying, "I made one snippet about wanting God to give me hope a few days ago, and already like 5 Christian rappers have conceptualized, wrote, recorded, and shot music videos in their grandma's basements for diss songs about me." No word on when Lil Nas X is dropping his song. Sara Bareilles wrote the music and lyrics for Waitress the musical, and she also stars in it. Now, fans can go to the movies for a limited time to see the Tony-nominated show. Bareilles is excited to bring the story of Jenna Hunterson to the silver screen.
Something that touches me about the show, the film, the story is that it is about female friendship at its core. I mean that line about Becky when she says, "I'm in this for life," I think it's really lovely. Would you talk about making this piece of work that has that as part of its ethos, where these women are supporting each other?
I think it's beautiful to see, you know, the great love stories be
Yeah.
inclusive of friendships. I think that when I really think about who my soulmates are in this life, certainly it is my partner, my future husband, Joe Tippett, but
Yeah.
also my incredible friends, soulmates, sisters who have been through thick and thin and everything in between, and I love seeing that depicted on stage. I love and I really attribute so much of this to Adrienne Shelley, who conceived of the world of Waitress and made this beautiful film that we are adapting for the stage. But it was so radical at the time for her to have a female character that in the end chose herself and her friends
Yeah.
and to create community, and not go run off with the doctor and have the romantic ending. I think to remember that there is great deep love to be shared amongst friends. I love telling that story again and again.
Yeah, wonderful. And these were conversations that weren't happening so much when Adrian created the film, wrote and directed it. And even when Waitress first premiered on Broadway, these conversations about domestic violence and gaslighting and these kind of darker uh, points in the show. Would you talk about shining a light on that as well?
Oh
And
yes.
the fact that Jenna does choose herself, but she does it with the help of her family, her chosen family.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think one of the powerful impacts of being a part of the story of this show has been, like as you said, highlighting this other epidemic, which is domestic violence. There, we have been really lucky to partner with some wonderful organizations across the years that have helped educate us. But even just in discussions that crop up around the show, and people writing in letters about their circumstance, that piece of Jenna's story is unfortunately deeply resonant for a lot of people, certainly across the gender spectrum, but especially women. And so I think that it is it's important to be telling the story about how someone gets there when it isn't quite so obvious. I think what we tried to do with her partner Earl is, it's a complicated character. He's not just a two-dimensional villain, and you sort of see the remnants of what was there and what sort of devolved. And it's really understandable how someone, like you were mentioning, gaslighting, someone ending up in a situation that is unhealthy for them, and it's almost like the water boiling around you. If you're inside it, you're not aware of it. So I think that is something that really gets touched on beautifully in the show and has had a tremendous impact. And we've had incredible stories of people saying, this show was a part of me leaving my abusive relationship or changing situations. And I think it's very comforting to see that you're not alone and that a lot of people can relate to that story.
Yeah, thank you. And there's a really beautiful convergence of food and music or art are often used to unify people or as a salve, a way of healing, of feeling better. And there's this beautiful convergence of these things in Waitress. Would you touch on that?
I talk about this show as being like the ultimate comfort food to me.
Yeah.
So, and I think of comfort food as it just has a warmth around it. It just it's touching all the senses in all the right ways. I think, as you mentioned, food and music are universal languages. You don't have to speak the same words to have an emotional response to an incredible bite of food or a beautiful piece of music. It's one of the wonderful ways that we can continue to connect and bridge divides between us. I think food and music are both food for the soul. Yeah. So I think of this show as being a really wonderful kind of recipe for that. It's funny, it's poignant, it's got a nice balance of darkness and light. And I might be biased, but I really like the music. It's very good.
As you should. Well, I wanted to ask you about the music. You wrote this score some time ago and have revisited it a few times.
Yeah.
And would you talk about how the music shifts at all for you, if that resonates?
Yeah, what I think about is there is something about my relationship with this show that feels akin to my relationship to my very first record called Little Voice. And there's something about Beginner's Mind. This was the first time I had ever sat in the seat of composer of a musical. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I had said yes to. It was a mountain to climb. I had no idea how it was going to happen. But there is some kind of incredible activation that happens in that headspace, I think. And I look at this score and it feels like it happened in another lifetime almost.
Yeah.
And I think that is a testament to, first of all, the collaboration with Adrian Shelley and working with source material that was not coming from me. It was the first time I really entered into a kind of collaboration like this. But also I do think about that beginner's mind. There's something playful and buoyant about doing something for the first time, especially when it's something you love. I was a theater kid. I am a huge fan. The fact I talk about sometimes when I would be walking to rehearsals, I felt like I was floating. I was so joyful going to work on this project. And there's not very many times you can say that about what you do for work. And I love what I do, but there was something really, really, really special about this show and this project as a whole.
You can watch The Advocate channel live by downloading our app in the Apple or Google Play Store. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. For The Advocate channel, I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and thank you for watching.